Hi, welcome to I Talk Italian. I'm your host, Shauna Patruno, and you're listening to New Wave. We have a special guest, and I'm super excited to introduce him. Actually, I'll have him introduce himself. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Let's do it. What's up, Canada? It's Alec, a 23-year-old hip-hop artist rising out of Little Rock, Arkansas. And it's a pleasure to be here with you guys today.
So I'm super excited to have you here. So I wanted to actually get right into the interview, and I wanted to ask you how long you've been doing this for.
Let's say, at this point, I'm about 6 years in. I just turned 23 2 weeks ago, but I started doing this when I was 18. I basically just started writing raps in class. And within a few months, I had so many ready, and I knew someone that was close by that had a home studio. I went down there. I worked with him for a little bit, and then after a while, I learned that with my work ethic, I was like, well, I'm on someone else's schedule. If I really want to do this the right way, I need to do it myself. I need to teach myself how to do it. So really, throughout the last 5 years, I've been aimlessly just creating these songs in my bedroom and just putting them out. And it wasn't really until I would say last year I started to actually gain traction. And at this point, I feel like I'm halfway between being a nobody and someone that has broken into a mainstream market in a major way. So we're at a halfway point right now. But it's definitely been a long journey, and I'm excited to keep going.
That's amazing. So you just spoke briefly about your work ethic, and what does that look like for you? How long did it take you to kind of break into where you're breaking into now?
Thank you. I would say if you really want to do this the right way, you have to make it your life. You have to be completely committed. Every night, every morning, I'm always waking up thinking, how can I get better? How can I get bigger? So it's really just, I dedicate 12 to 13, 14 hours a day really to myself. I have friends that I hang out with occasionally, but for the most part, I've sacrificed everything, the whole going out, the whole dating, love life. I already did that. At this point, I'm really just in love with my craft, and I'm trying to take this to the highest level possible. In order to do that, you really have to make it your life.
That's crazy. So you've sacrificed love and friendship and stuff like that for your career.
Yeah.
How does that feel for you? Well, you must be in love with the craft of writing music and what you're doing. How did that evolve for you?
Absolutely. Well, it's really just been a lot of things have changed over the last few years. When I first started doing this, of course, I was in high school, and I would, when I put out my first song, I would go to every lunch table and get people to put the song on their phone. And then I went and got these cards developed. So I would go and get these cards developed and go to every store and just hand them out to everyone. And that didn't really work. And then once I graduated high school, I would just message a million people. I'm like, yo, check me out, check me out. And maybe some people would stay, but then some people wouldn't. And I just learned, well, if I just focus on the music, if I do what I can and put it out, then they'll come to me. So that's what I've done. And at this point, I'm grateful to say, I wake up every day and there's new followers, and I spend at least the first hour of every day just trying to engage with every single comment or or message every day. And it's always a new thing. I wake up to new things every day, and it's really just a blessing. And I'm really just trying to do this as much as I can until it reaches a point to where I can't anymore.
That's awesome. I actually have a story about that. That's actually how we connected, because you reached out to me and I was actually going through a really not great point. I think it was a month ago. And there was something you had posted in your story. And it was super inspirational. And that's what kind of got me interested in you. And your music is just, you're so different. You're so positive, and everything that you're talking about is so positive. I know that this is kind of off course, but something you said recently kind of sparked an interest in me. And you were talking about work hard and about fancy chains and to work for the future. Could you talk a little bit about that? You were talking about more saving money and stuff like that. And just thinking working hard, your work ethic. How has that evolved?
Absolutely. I think just was being labeled a rapper. A lot of rappers these days, they just, they achieve their success and they get their money, but I feel like they're only thinking in the era they're in at that point, and they're not necessarily being as futuristic, which can be a problem for some people. But in my case, I just, at this point, like I said, I'm 23. I hope to live to see at least 70. I'm thinking 70 max at this point. So I need to make enough money to be straight for the rest of my life. So until then, you won't see me lashing out. And of course, that really, everyone has different lifestyles, and I'm trying to have the biggest there is at least one day. But I feel like if you want to actually be safe in this world, you need to save your money and invest it into what you actually care about, and try not to fall victim to vices or things that take up your money. That's what I would have to say about that. But like, of course, I love material things, cars, clothes. It's definitely a great thing, but that can't be the priority.
I love that. That's so different than everything that I've known to see about like the world of like rap. Would you label yourself as a rap artist?
I do love to rap. I do be rapping. I will say that, but that's not what I'm labeled as all around. I would consider myself just an artist in general.
Just an artist. You have a lot of different tracks, which is amazing. What do you feel makes you different? Obviously, you're not labeled in one genre, but like what makes you stand out and what would you say makes you different?
Thank you so much. That's a beautiful question. Really, it's just, I would say, my attention to detail and like how much I actually care about this. Like I can actually sit down with myself and say, Alec, this is not it. This is boring. This is horrible. You made this mistake. Fix this. And I'm extremely critical on myself, and that's why I feel like the music comes out at the quality it does. And just that being hard on yourself and trying to get it right and always trying to one up myself every time. And also, of course, in this day and age, everyone's trying to rap, and I never feel like I'm in competition or anything. Really, just with myself. I feel like it's my ability to connect with the music and to connect with the listener in general, because I actually care about the music. I actually care about my supporters, and every time I get a new message from a supporter, I've always loved to reach out to them and thank them for coming to follow me or checking out my music. And I try to be as genuine as possible because I don't take any of this for granted. I remember what it was like when my music was not good and when no one supported me. So at this point going forward, I just want to do this the best way possible and be as sweet and respectful to the world as possible as well. Even though it is a cruel world, you can't let that change how you treat people.
That makes a lot of sense. So going forward, we're just going to continue the interview, but we're going to take a brief pause. We'll be right back. But Alec, where can they find you so they can listen to some of your songs and that kind of thing?
Most importantly, if you have YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music, you can go listen to my music on there. It's metalecalec, metalecalec. And to follow me, just come follow me on Instagram. If you shoot me a DM, I will respond to it at the same name, metalecalec.
Awesome. So we're going to just hit a brief pause and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to I Talk Italian. I'm your host, Shauna Patruno. So we have a special guest and we're just rolling right into more questions with Alec. Is that how you say your name? I hope I'm not butchering it for you.
It's okay. Yeah, Alec is my personal name, but my stage name is Metallic Alec.
Metallic Alec. Okay, good. I'm not butchering it. So I actually have a question for you, which I think a lot of listeners would love to hear. So a lot of people have experienced people like basically bash their dreams, and you're going after like a huge dream. Like this, we're talking about like it's the 1%. And how did you deal with people not believing in you? Like I remember you told me a story, and I would love you to share your story with our listeners. But how did you stay motivated when you weren't getting that positive feedback from other people?
Right. Great question. I mean, I feel like at this point, if you really want to succeed with something, you have to have a lot of self-belief and you have to be extremely passionate about it to actually go the distance. The criticism, the hate, I still deal with it to this day. But to take you back to the beginning, of course, when I was in school and I'm telling people like, yo, I'm gonna be a rapper, I'm trying to do this. I remember people were like laughing at me and they weren't really taking me seriously. And, when I started working jobs back in the day, I would work with people and tell them my dreams. And I was like 19 at the time, and they were like in their 40s, and they're like, oh, you're not going to be nothing. You're going to be just like us, like working inside of 40. And I'm just like, wow, like, you really believe that? Okay, so it's like, but you reach a point where you spend so much time with yourself that you learn yourself. And obviously, if you're chasing something, you're going to learn and dedicate time and energy and trying to grow with what you're doing. And me, like I said, I spent a lot of time in my bedroom just like, wow, like just like looking out at the sky and like, damn, how can I break out into the world? How can I become famous? How can I become known for my craft? And the more you do something, obviously, the stronger you're going to get with it, the more confidence you're going to gain, you're going to grow. But I feel like if there's anything in this world you want to do, you just have to go after it. But it can't be, this isn't an instant gratification thing. You have to grow it from the soil. You can't cheat. You can't skip steps. It's not like that. If you actually want to do it, you got to do it right. And I feel like in my case, I'm just trying to do this the best way possible. And to this day, even though, you know, at least 15 million people know who I am, I still wake up to comments saying, oh, you're trash, or this ain't it, chief, or go kill yourself. And I'm just like, wow, like, you know, like, I don't know what they did to you, but I don't know, some people hate themselves, and I just try to project positive energy back to them. And after you do something for so long and you make it to a certain point, you can always turn around and look back and see how far you really came. And that reassures that you can keep going and get further, you know?
100%. So you still obviously deal with hate, but you're able to have your own self-belief within yourself. Was there someone in your life that kind of helped inspire you, or was this something internal that you just had brewing in you?
I would say with the whole confidence thing, it's really, I really am inspired by the people that I listen to and look up to, which would be like, you know, Drake or Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, like Wiz Khalifa, Russ, people who made it to where I'm trying to make it to. And if you just study them, and well, I have studied them, but I have done that. And I guess you could say I've been inspired from them and still am and always will be. But if they can do it, I feel like I can do it, you know?
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Like if you have that belief within yourself, but obviously you have to have talent too, which you obviously do have. And that I have another question for you with that. How do you make your music, and what was the evolution of that process?
I feel like it's really evolved over the years. I remember like when I first started this, I would just like write in a bunch of papers. And like I said, I knew someone that had a home little studio, so I would record with him and he would do everything for me at the time, which was, it was at the highest level it could have been at the time, but looking back, it definitely wasn't it. And it's really been like I would say the last 2.5 years, I've taught myself how to mix and master. So at this point in my career, I'm doing everything myself. I mean, I work with various internet producers to get my beats, but I'm handling all the writing, the recording, the mixing, the mastering, the promoting. I do it all at this point, but I'm not that guy that's like, oh, I'm always trying to do it myself. Like, no, that's not me. I definitely want to level up, and I can't wait to work with the big producers and the big studios and make music at the highest level possible, because I love music most importantly.
That's awesome. Do you have someone that you would love to work with?
Drake.
Drake, 100%.
Drake as a male vocalist, for a female, Ariana Grande.
Okay, interesting. What is the reason for both of them?
I feel like in my case, they inspired me the most. Like with most artists, if you like a couple songs, then you could be a fan. But for them, it comes to a point where I feel like I just love every song on every album, on every mixtape. That's all I listen to. Like it's a mix between them when I'm going about my life, when I'm working out, when I'm chilling, when I'm driving, when I'm in a bad mood, when I'm sad, when I want to be inspired. I just throw them on and it gets me right in the zone I need to be in.
That's awesome. Well, I love that you talked about kind of emulating people. So we're going to take a quick pause, and then I'm going to ask you a few more questions if you're cool with that.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Awesome. Hi, welcome back to I Talk Italian. I'm your host, Shauna Patruno, and we are continuing the conversation with our musical guest. Introduce yourself again for everyone.
What's good? What's good, Canada? I'm Alec, a 23-year-old hip-hop artist rising out of Little Rock, Arkansas, and I'm trying to do this the best way possible and have the most deepest connection with the listener like never before.
And I think you're doing a really great job, to be honest with that. I wanted to ask you a question. Basically, what would you say to people who are trying to get to where you're at?
Beautiful question, because 5 years ago, I used to go on YouTube and I watched the interview where they asked Tyga that same question. He said what he said, and I was there clueless, not knowing what to do, and it helps me. So I'm happy to share that knowledge now. No matter what it is you want to do in life, you have to accept the fact that time is going to go on. Do you want to grow with something, or do you want to be stagnant? Me personally, I want to grow. And if you're listening at this point, I feel like you want to as well. Everyone has a passion. It's that thing that you think about that you would love to do, but sometimes in today's society, you instantly dismiss it because people tell you, oh, it's unrealistic or you can't do it. That's really not true. You can actually do anything you want to do, but you have to want success more than your next breath, and you have to dedicate your life to it. And you have to believe in it, and you have to allow yourself to grow and evolve. these days, most people don't want to start something because we're not necessarily the best when we start something. But if you can just give yourself 3 to 5 years, you can master your craft or whatever you're trying to do, and you can go somewhere. Like at this point, I don't feel like money defines someone, but I feel like it defines growth at this point. So I would like to say, like, when I first started doing this, really for the first 3 to 4 years, I never made over $1,000 in my life. Gratefully, this year I was able to at least touch 50,000, which isn't a lot of money where I'm trying to go. Because by 35, I'm trying to amass success of at least 100 million. But if you can measure growth, it inspires you to keep going. So I feel like at this point, you could do whatever you dream of.
That's amazing. You're so inspirational, so young, which I love that. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm getting wisdom and I can almost feel like your positive vibes, like just talking to you. So, one of the questions I have is, how do you keep your energy positive if you're working by yourself? Are you the type of person who gets hyped up by being by yourself? Or are there things and like a ritual or something that you do to keep your energy like in such a positive trajectory?
I don't know, like with the way that I do it, I don't know if it's a common thing, but the way I do it is I try to have a balanced life. I try to spend time with family. I try to get on a plane and just fly somewhere and spend time somewhere else occasionally. Like a few weeks ago, I just got back from Alaska. I've been in my house for about 6 weeks now making music. And in a couple weeks, I'm about to go on like a 2-week journey out to Seattle and in Denver to visit friends. And also, if you want to have a positive life, you have to surround yourself with like-minded people and positive energy. And at this point, I don't necessarily know too many people that I can actually hang out with in real life that will offer me that kind of energy. So what I like to do is I like to watch interviews of the people that inspire me, like obviously Drake or J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar. I will watch their interviews for hours and hours. Like I will put it on and play it while I'm in the shower or when I first wake up or when I go to bed. That way I can have that positive energy and inspiration coming, obviously within my soul. And I feel like I'm surrounded by it. Like if I watch a 2-hour interview with Russ and it ends, I feel like I was chilling with him for 2 hours, So, or if not that, I go chill with my friends and they offer me energy. But for the most part, it just excluding anything negative, like sometimes if I know someone's going to hurt my feelings, I'll step away from it. That's actually why I'm not in a relationship right now, because everyone has their vices, and for me it's women. I become very addictive and in that point it always leads to a point to where I begin to care so much that I begin to hurt. And at this point I'm just trying to take a break from all that, and maybe I'll pick back up with it later on. Also women is something that really inspires me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Absolutely. That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. On that note, we're going to just take a brief pause. But before we do, can you tell them one of your favorite songs that you've written and where they can find that?
Okay, so my favorite song, I don't know, I can't really label it as a song, but I actually just dropped this freestyle. It's on my Instagram page. It's on my YouTube account. All you have to do is search metalecalec, METALEC, ALEC, and it'll take you straight to my channel. It's my newest upload. At this point, by the time you hear this, it'll still be relatively new. But I am dropping a brand new song titled Can't Believe It this weekend, November 21st. If that's the newest thing by the time you see this, that'll be the next thing.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So we're going to just hit a pause and we'll be right back with I Talk Italian, You Wave. Hi, welcome back to I Talk Italian. I'm your host, Shauna Patruno, and we're just continuing the conversation with Metallic Alec. Basically, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was the music scene, like where you're at. I don't really hear much about the music scene in Arkansas. What is it like?
Great question. I mean, there hasn't been that many artists to necessarily break into a mainstream market, but for the most part, the trap scene is really big out here. There's been a lot of people that are just really trying to do it, but I'm, beyond grateful to be one of the very few artists that are actually trying to take it to the highest level possible differently. I don't make trap music, so I try to do it as different as possible. But I feel like a lot of artists within the city are trying to do their thing. And we're all at this point to where it's going to be like, oh, who's going to be the superstar,
Is there anyone you're battling against, or is someone who inspires you to kind of step it up?
Not within my city, not necessarily, no.
No.
But in the music industry, really just all the artists that I named earlier that I'm inspired by. But within the city, no.
That's cool. You basically said that you had this vision of where your career was going and what that looked like. Do you foresee yourself, like, what does that look like for you? What is the growth and expansion that you see yourself evolving through?
I'm really just trying to accomplish everything that can be accomplished within the music industry. I want to have, many albums that reach platinum status, obviously a catalog of singles that go platinum. I want to have many sold out arena tours, Grammys if possible, Billboard awards, every award possible, and just millions and millions and millions of people around the world that have been impacted by the music and are able to connect with it deeply and have it resonate 10 years after it's already been out. I'm not just trying to make music that's hot for the moment. I like to make timeless music that's meaningful to me and that's real and authentic as possible, but because it comes from a deep place. And I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do it as big as possible.
So for you, what kind of evokes emotion for you and gets you like really passionate about writing? Like what stirs up that process?
It's usually just like what I'm going through at the moment or what vibe I feel. Like there's days when I wake up and I'm like, I'm trying to make some turnt shit. Wake up and make hype music. Or there's some days when I'm just in my feels because the girl that I've been talking to recently hurt my feelings or something, or we're going through it. So I'm going to take that out in the music and I'm going to turn it into something therapeutic.
That's awesome. So you use your music as a therapy, essentially, which is ironic. Like I said, that's how we connected, is because I find music very therapeutic. Whenever I go through something, I turn to music often. What would you say the most therapeutic song you ever written for like the darkest place you were in? Do you have a song that helped you through a really dark time that you wrote?
Beautiful question. Yes. The two most recent ones I could think about would be When I'm Alone or Dear Marissa, which was really me battling being alone and the last relationship that I got out of. They're very deep songs and you can find them on any music platform.
That's awesome. So it helped you through that. When you were going through do you find it more painful to write a song when you're in that kind of emotion, or do you find it's like a release for you as you write the song?
Great question. I was actually watching an interview with G-Eazy and Black Bear not long ago, and I really remember Black Bear saying that he waits for a while until he's able to do it. But me personally, I need to do it instantly, like that day or the next day, like while I'm feeling that aggression and that anger and that pain. I need to do it then. That way, because me personally, if I wait a while, I heal. I heal pretty fast from things. And I remember there was this one point where I wrote this song about one of my exes and a couple months passed and I was with another girl and I was already happy again. I didn't feel the need to put that song out. So I like to really live within that moment. Although I am putting out a new song this weekend and the next one in a few weeks after that, that are about, the most recent female that I had my thing with. And it's like 6 months later and it just feels like, damn, these people are going to be thinking that it's now, but it was really 6 months ago.
That's awesome. Sorry. I love
Mhm.
that. So you're able to move through your emotions pretty quickly. Do you think that having music as that tool is something that allows you to get through your emotions faster? Because I know a lot of people go through stuff and they're not able to move through it so fluidly. Do you feel like having music in your life has allowed you to work through your emotions?
Absolutely. It definitely is my biggest tool. I'm really just beyond grateful to have one. The way that I deal with, my pain or whatever it is pretty, I would say, different from most people. I like to make music. I like to just get on a plane and fly somewhere else that I don't really necessarily see every day, or just hanging out with friends or taking baths or showering or, eating, doing things that escape your mind and make your body feel good as opposed to doing drugs or drowning in alcohol, which is unfortunate for some people because they slip into that boat. I personally don't. I almost have, but I pulled myself out of that. And for anyone that's going through something, I would just want to tell you, do things that are going to make you feel better, not just for a temporary situation. If you work on yourself and you try to build yourself back up, it's only up from there. But if you try to escape with drugs, it'll take you away for obviously a few hours or a few days, but you're going to come back down and hit rock bottom again.
Absolutely. And then you realize often like that you're kind of at the bottom, like not you've you were suppressing something, but now you have to start from the very point that you were at, which is very important. So I love that you shared that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So is there any inspirational things that you would like to leave our listeners with before we kind of end this?
Follow me on Instagram. No, I'm playing. You can do whatever
No, do
you want
it.
to do.
Shout out.
You can do whatever you want to do on this planet. Please chase your dreams. And if I can be someone that inspires you, it'd truly be an honor, because I can assure you that I'm nowhere near where I'm going to be. And knowing, if you told me today I had to work 16 hours a day, every day for the next 10 years until I got to where I want to be, I'm still going to do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. It's been an honor, and I'm beyond grateful to have been on this platform. Shout out to Canada. I've yet to come. I cannot wait to come. Y'all are beautiful, amazing people. Thank you so much.
And just enlighten them where they'll find you again.
You can follow me on Instagram at metalecalec. And that's really all you have to put in, because I'm verified, so it'll pop up. But for music, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Metallic Alec, METALEC, ALEC.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening today to I Talk Italian New Wave.